answer right here on Pertinent Questions, because we have in the studio a very senior lawyer who will discuss this and some other issues. We will be looking at the law, and they just concluded MBA conference that held in Enugu. He was a participant, and he should be able to tell us what that conference threw up. Today, we want to focus on the law and lawyers. The reason is very simple. The law is a profession that affects everybody, be you a common man. In fact, it's common men that it should affect even the more. Their services should come to us, especially those of us who want to breathe. And the poor man must always breathe. The president himself said so. The poor must be allowed to breathe. In the studio with me is a senior lawyer, as I've described him. He is the director, law reform, and also the head of the Citizen Mediation Center within the Osun State Ministry of Justice. He attended the Barr conference that held a few days ago, and he's back home at his base. So we have brought him here this afternoon. His name is, we call him rather, his name is not, but I would say he is Barrister Kayode Titiloye. As I described him earlier, the Director, Law Reform and Head of Citizen Mediation Center at the Osun State Ministry of Justice. He is here to discuss law and, in particular, the just concluded Barr conference. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
Please, everybody. My first question is a very, very moot one. Is the law actually what the magistrate or the judge says it is?
Well, thank you very much. As the saying goes, there is no one definition to end all definition as to what the law is. There are several schools of thought, jurisprudential school of thought as to what the law is. Some people believe the law should be the command of the ruler to the ruled, in which case, in that perspective, the law will always be what the governor, the president, the local government chairman says the law is. Some people say the law is what the judge says the law is, in which case you are talking about judge-made laws. And of course, some people also see law as an instrument of social engineering. They see law as something that grows from among the people, the will of the people, the general conviction, persuasion, belief of the people, as long as it is not repugnant to natural justice and it's not barbaric. Well, so you can see, people say it is like the elephant that is being perceived by the 6 blind men of Hindustani. Okay, the person that feels the trunk stinks, the elephant is a snake. The person that feels the leg feels the elephant is a mortar. So it depends on where you encounter the law and the perspective you have about it. But indeed, the law is the act of the parliament of the people as assented to by the executive led by either the president or the governor, and as interpreted by the judiciary. You see, so the 3 arms of government are involved in the actual reality of what the law is. The parliament passed the law, but then it is the executive, the governor, the president that assented to it before it can become the law. And then that law is subject to judicial pronouncement and interpretation. When it gets to court, the court will say, oh, this law is valid and just. It is sustained. So, and the 3 harms is to make sure indeed that there are checks and balances and you don't have authoritarianism by any of the 3 harms.
Well, thank you for that elaborate definition or rather explanation that you have given to what the law is. But we at the common level, common man's level, we look at it, you get to court and what the judge says, the sentences me to 3 years imprisonment, that's what the law says. Yes, that takes me to this next question. It's as old as anything else. The legal profession is a little bit ultra conservative. There are many younger lawyers, vibrant ones, much, much younger than you are in age, young lawyers who should be willing and ready to take the law, the legal profession, out of the context of this old, ultra conservative orientation. What's your position on this?
Oh, well, it is true that the law is conservative to the extent that the law must be certain, the law must be precise, the law must be consistent, and the members of the public must know what the law is, because ignorance of the law is not an excuse. So if the law changes every day, it will be difficult to determine what the law is. The lawyers representing their client must have an idea of what the judge is likely to determine based on the existing statutes and the law. So the law, by its nature, by the requirement of the purpose it is meant to fulfill, has to be fixed, has to be certain, and that is why it is considered as being conservative. But all the same, the law is dynamic. The law changes. The parliament is empowered to change the law based on the reality and the circumstances of the society and what is good and just per time. For example, if you have laws that stipulated 1 naira penalty for wrongdoings or for offenses, and it is still in our law book, such law can no longer be sustained. It has to be amended. But until it is amended, it remains the law. And so people feel, why should that be the law? You will have a disorder if because that law has not been amended, but it is no longer consistent with present reality, anybody can do what they like. So it will now be taken through this process back to the House of Assembly or National Assembly to be amended or to be repealed and a new law passed on the subject matter. However, the young lawyers, they are agile, they are able, they are indeed very virile, and they have their space, and their space is more or less larger than the space of the old lawyers in the professional. Generally, they seem to determine the direction of the practice of the law, and there are many new subjects of the law that are either do not known before. You now have legal tech, you now have entertainment law, you now have space law, you have all kinds of law. I give you an example. My son is still in the university reading law, and he decided he's interested in space law.
Space law.
Exactly. I asked myself, oh, do we have space law? I've been a lawyer long before he was born. But then he began to research. He began to investigate what law firms are practicing space law in Nigeria, and he came about 1 or 2. He began to follow NASA. He knows more about space law than me, his father. Though he's not yet a lawyer, he's just a law student. So what I'm trying to say is that they are more dynamic and they are more active. So, and indeed, when you look at it, you find out that the law addresses every subject of human existence. The law of God is there, human law is there. And so when you come to any subject, you will be able to determine what the law is. So the young lawyers have their space.
Yeah, they have their space, but are they being given? I'm talking about what I described, to permit me, ultra-conservatism. The law profession has not come out of its cocoon, as it were. The way the Shakwara Williams of this of that time did it is still the same way you are doing it. You go to court, you carry a robe, which America has jettisoned long time ago. This is what the area I'm trying to look at.
Yeah, well, if I may say, the law has actually never been a cocoon. It's one of the most social professions. It determines the directions of politics, the direction of social interaction. And however, there are standards that can hardly be changed unless the society will go back into the jungle days, in the to the Thomas of ages. That's why I said the law has to be fixed and certain. And for example, that is why the Constitution of Nigeria cannot be changed every other day, as people would have wanted to, because you need to know what the law is and be able to be sure that it has not been changed overnight. However, like I said, there are several new areas of the law that the young lawyers are exploiting and that is addressing it. For example, years ago, we don't know nothing about social media. Now there are laws, there are cyber laws. 20 years ago, there is nothing like cyber laws. But now you have cyber laws. That's a new thing. And the young generation, young lawyers are more interested in those things. So the law is advancing. The law is dynamic. We just need to keep abreast of the law. And that is the work of the lawyers to enlighten the members of the society if we engage them.
Okay, the Nigerian Bar Association, I want to come to you specifically now about beginning with this. It's a professional body for all lawyers, am I right? All Nigerian lawyers?
Yes.
Does it include justices, because they were first and foremost lawyers too?
Yeah, you certainly, the boy, as the saying goes, is the father of the man.
Yeah.
So when you become a lawyer and you become a judge, your membership of the bar is not terminated.
Okay.
So it's the foundation for whatever you become in the profession. And that's why you see judges here at the end of the court are likely to have a branch of the association if it has sufficient number of lawyers.
How many are in Osun State? In judicial?
Well, we have a number of judicial divisions in Osun State, several. I can begin to mention Osogbo, Ilesha, Ile-Ife, Ikirun, Ila, Iwo, so many, all right. But of course, we have about 5 branches of the association in Osun State. The Osogbo branch, the Ile-Ife branch, Ilesha branch, Ikirun branch, and the Iwo branch of the association for the state as of today. And we have many branches. Then secondly, you have sessions. You have sessions on public litigation. Okay. You have section on business law, and you have section on public interest and development law, which we call SPIDE. All right. So the section on the public practice of law, SPL, deals with day-to-day lawyers or general practitioners who go to the courtroom, barristers, generally speaking. The section on business law deals with commercial law and practice with regard to most of the solicitors who don't practice in the courtroom are usually in that branch and in that section of the law. And you have SPIDE, the section on public interest and development law, which covers people in the official bar, those of us who are practicing for the government, those who are corporate lawyers, and then interests that cover public interest, like human rights, civil rights rather, all right? Civil rights, economic rights, and things like that. Cases that are done in the interest of the members of the public at large. They are public interest cases. Those are what you call public interest litigation. Cases that are pursued for the interest of the larger society. So we have those sessions, and you have fora. You have women forum, you have a forum for the disabled, you have military forum, you have a different forum. It's an association where you have freedom and liberty. And in fact, we have Christian Lawyers Fellowship, we have Muslim Lawyers Association, we have Federation of Women Lawyers. You also have, we even gather to socialize in classes. The year of Kotoba, the year you graduate in the university, the NBA is very open and very liberal, and it's like a father that accommodates her.
Okay, so someday, if some people move to the idea of traditional worshippers, you have Christian, you have Muslim lawyers, and they come out as traditional.
Well, as long as it is not unconstitutional, as long as it is not a secret court or an outlawed organization, they have freedom of religion.
Okay. The NBA conference held a few days ago in Enugu. You attended.
Of course.
Yes. What were your expectations, or did the conference live up to expectation? To put the general question.
Well, certainly the conference lived up to its expectation, because the basic expectation of the conference is for lawyers to come together to interact intellectually and professionally, to network, to discuss, to have dialogue on the development of the law and the just society. For example, the theme of the conference this year is stand out, stand tall. Okay, I'm of the opinion that lawyers are already standing out. They are standing wherever they are. Any lawyer in any society or community will be noted as an important member of the society. Yeah. But how much we are standing tall is what we need to address, to be sure that there are no members of the profession that are seen as doing things that are below the right expectation of the bar. So we address issues of law and practice that makes lawyers to be able to stand tall wherever they are as defenders of justice and of the common man. And so, to that extent, the conference lived to its expectation. Of course, we may have some challenges with convenience and the moment, because you will recall that the conference was moved from where it was initially supposed to be held, Port Harcourt, to Enugu, as part of our public interest campaign and protest against the unconstitutional suspension of a governor. The law is developing. That issue is still being challenged. Even as I speak, I see a case in court, even though the number of months for the suspension is almost over. But the point is that lawyers, as the conscience of the society, must lead from the front to say no to whatever is wrong and unjust and unconstitutional.
You, a short while ago, told me about the theme. You said, stand out and stand tall. Was this what Dr. Obi Ezekwesili was referring to when she came out with a complaint against lawyers generally?
Well, I won't call Dr. Obi Ezekwesili's session and submissions and admonition as a complaint.
Yeah.
First of all, we know the pedigree of Dr. Ezekwesili before the MBA invited her.
Yeah.
And for that showcase session. And secondly, she did not disappoint us. And she gave a robust analysis of the subject matter, and she pushed everybody and challenged everybody. And her position indeed is consistent with the team standing tall, even though you are already standing out. And the summary of her position was that, well, the economy is bad, people are crying, but you lawyers may not feel it as much as the members of society are feeling it, because you are able to cushion the effect by your income and by your practice and profession. But then you should not sit comfortable, because it is, you are not the hardest beaten hardest by the economic situation. You should pursue the liberation of the common man from this economic problem that we have found ourselves. That yes, you lawyers may still be able to cope, but there are people out there who are not able to cope, and we should openly and publicly and be seen to be fighting for them. And she challenged our senior colleagues who will probably, well, myself inclusive, those who advise government, those who work for government, those who take government briefs, not just government, those who work for politically exposed people, to tell them the truth, to guide them right, to help them to do what is just, rather than collaborate to undo the common man.
Yeah, so as far as I'm a layman, I'm concerned, that's a challenge to you.
Yeah, which
standing, yes, we were happy tall. You have been standing, but not standing tall.
No.
Not all of you.
Not all of us.
But yes, but you have been. That's why the lady came with that admonition.
There certainly are people that can do better.
Yeah. And
our admonition is that, like we used to say, that justice should not only be done, it should be seen to have been done. They expected more. She's the voice in that meeting of the common man, that we want more from you. And that is true. That is necessary.
Now, how would you lawyers come to the table from what she has said? I'm talking about you, the categorization of law, this silk, you very senior lawyers, the younger lawyers who are just coming up on stage. What can you do for the common man?
What we have been doing for the common man is what we should do more. And what we have been doing is, you will agree with me that from the beginning of democracy and civil government in this country, even before independence, lawyers have been at the forefront of fighting for the common man. During the military era, lawyers are at the forefront, along with journalists and medical doctors in their professional bodies, in fighting against, fighting for democracy. And now that the challenge is not political democracy, but economic survival of the people, we are to now do more. It's not by giving hands out or what people call empowerment. The kind of empowerment we give is to make sure that we fight more for the right of the people, the economic right, the civic right, the political right, the human right. There are many cases that are, we call them small claim cases, that somebody who the injustice against him is valued 20,000 naira. How much will he pay for the service of a lawyer? But that 20,000 naira may be what his family depends on for 2 weeks. And he might be crying for justice. Naturally, no lawyer will want to commit his services for a case whose value is not worth 20,000 naira. But that person still deserves justice. I tell you a story. A disabled associate, a disabled young man that's acquainted to me, came to me claiming a 7,000 naira right and begging me to help him secure justice. I felt it's a waste of my very precious time. I'm very busy. I offered to give him 7,000 naira.
Thank you, but
he refused.
Is it satisfied?
He refused. He said, no, you have been giving me money and you can always give me money. But this my money that is my sweat. I don't want those people to get away with it. I want it back.
That's it.
Fortunately, I was able to recover his 7,000 naira for him. Though it was heavier on me because of the sacrifice I have to make. It was cheaper for me to give him 7,000 naira, but he wanted the one that he labored for.
I'm glad that an experience like this happened. Yes, so, it is not that you can't give him 7,000. You have been given, but he sees this as justice denied.
It is not the money; it is the justice and the implication to him. So, that is what it means now with the kind of economy that we have. There are people who are crying for justice and they can't afford the cost of access to justice. In that case, lawyers of all strata must come to the table to help. And of course, our senior colleagues that engage political leaders must speak truth to the power. They must speak truth to power. That is what, for me, the essence of that conference and the essence of the admonition of Mrs. Obi Ezekwesili.
Yeah, very, very interesting anecdote. All of you too must be thinking of taking up cases pro bono. Don't you see it that way?
We're already doing so. At different level.
May not be sufficient.
Maybe I should speak for the government, for example. The justice sector work of the government is robust. Under this administration and under the present Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice and Solicitor General and Permanent Secretary, as supported and encouraged by Mr. Governor, the Office of Public Defender and Citizens' Rights, the Sexual and Gender-Based Violence Response Unit, the Citizen Mediation Center that I head, are all offices open to members of the public for free legal services in the state. And we are doing so much.
We'll come back to that. It will be our next question, but we will go for a break. And then when we come back, you resume from where you almost stopped. To the viewer at home, we are breaking up the show to make it up. The first half of it is done, and we will bridge the gap and then come back. I have been speaking with Barrister Kayode Titiloye. He is doing justice to our conversation here this afternoon, but we will be back. Don't go away, please. Welcome back to the program. I have been in a discussion session with Mr. Kayode Titiloye, the Director of Law Reform, who is also doubles as the head of Citizen Mediation Center within the Osho State Ministry of Justice. You were trying to highlight on these setups within your environment, but the time was not very much on our side. I want you to pick up your thoughts from there. What is citizen right? What is public interest litigation? What is citizen mediation?
Thank you very much. Like we all know, a great percentage of the members of the society cannot afford the cost of access to justice, more so in an economy like this. So, Mr. Governor, Senator Nurudin Jackson Ademola Adeleke has graciously supported and sustained the drive at the Ministry of Justice under the leadership of the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Barrister Oluwole Bada, SAN designate, and the Solicitor General and Permanent Secretary, Barrister Mrs. M. Bello, to ensure that the justice sector avails the members of the society who cannot afford the cost of justice access to justice. And so we have running in the Ministry of Justice the Citizen Mediation Center, the Office of Public Defender and Citizens' Rights, and the Sexual and Gender-Based Violence Response Team, both all in the State Ministry of Justice. The Citizen Mediation Center is a center established and that runs free mediation to provide mediatory services as an alternative dispute resolution to resolve conflicts, crises, and disputes for members of the society, especially those who cannot afford the cost of going to court or hiring a lawyer. They will have lawyers who are neutrals. They will invite both parties and they will bring the law to the table, listen to the facts, and help them to get on the same page and resolve their differences. And they will document their term of settlement, which will be enforceable in the case any of them seeks to breach it. Now, the Office of Public Defender and Citizens does the same, but it moves a little further. It has enforcement mechanism. While the Citizen Mediation Center, which I head, is voluntary and it encourages people to come, all right? There is the power of sanction that's available at the Office of Public Defender and Citizens' Rights. In the Office of Public Defender and Citizens' Rights, if your rights are being breached or your mediation does not work because there's an aggressor or an oppressor who will not let go, then the victim, who is not financially viable or who is intimidated, will be availed free legal services. The Office of Public Defender and Citizens will give lawyers, we assign lawyers to such citizens, to such residents of the state, to defend them in court or to prosecute their cases in court, to get their rights for them, be it human right, economic right, or whatever kind of right, even matrimonial causes, any kind of matter where members of society are being denied their rights and they don't have the means, the financial capacity. And this is so consistent with the policy of Mr. Governor. And I'm not surprised that the AG is championing this with all passion. And so the Office of Public Defender and Citizens' Rights is an open law office for members of the society. The Citizen Mediation Center do not give judgment. They don't sit in judgment. They mediate. They get people to get back on the same page and become friends and go away together as friends. It's a win-win thing for parties. And we have had great successes. We also have sexual and gender-based violence response unit that focus more on gender violence and abuse, which has sparked so much in the society, because you will discover that the more the economy bites, the more the men become aggressive at home and the more of domestic violence you have around, and it become a threat to livelihood for the poor society. And so that office is there to spring to action whenever a complaint of gender abuse comes up, be it criminal or not, and then even children's rights. And that is for the state. You also have the Legal Aid Council, that is a federal government's own effort in the state. And of course, you have the Christian lawyers have a legal aid and humanitarian service that does this. The Muslim lawyers, I think they also do that. The NBA itself has an human rights committee, Federation of Women Lawyers. So you see, there are many mechanisms created by the bar, by lawyers, to avail members of the society free legal services. And even individual lawyers offer pro bono services to people who are indigent. So anybody that get the right information, we hardly go without somebody representing him. Even in the court, if somebody is being tried for an offense and he cannot afford the service of a lawyer, especially if it is capital offense, the judge calls lawyer and requests them to represent them free of charge. And that is how lawyers actually stand tall in fighting for the members of society. The challenge and encouragement is that we should do more in times like this, because now, this time that we have, more people, you see, those who used to be in the middle class are dropping to the lower class, below the poverty line now. So you have so much more people who can't afford the cost of legal services that will appear to be elitist. That is the reality, and that's why we need to do more.
Thank you for that explanation. Your office has to do with two aspects. One aspect, you have already given us detailed information about that. But the first part of your office is law reform.
Yes.
What does this entail?
Well, thank you very much. The law reform has to do with where we started. You said law is conservative. But when society is changing and the law needs to change to meet societal need, expectation, and reality, then there's a need for reform. So we have law revision, we have law review, and law reform. And this has to do with passage of new laws. So when the executive is trying to introduce new laws from ministry, department, and agencies of government, it comes to us. We either draft them or vet them and process them for the executive under the leadership of Mr. Governor to approve, to be sent to the House of Assembly for passage. When it comes back to, we look at it and then ensure that it is concerned with the constituents, and then as it is assented, the will and intention of the parliament, the honorable legislators, is executed by the executive and is implemented. And beyond that, we look at the existing law with the intention of amendments where they are necessary to bring them up to par, up to speed with the reality of the moment. So you have amendments, you have passages of new laws to address today's challenges and today's new developments and reality. So the Department of Law Reform address legal and judicial reform. And then we also seek to introduce innovations. For example, we are in computer age, ICT now, where there are a lot of things cannot be done by analog means. So we need to have a lot of rethink. We are working towards a smart Ministry of Justice, electronic legislation, and litigation. A lot of things are changing. So we are trying to introduce innovation that will help the justice sector to guarantee justice faster and better to the members of the society under the support and direction and leadership of the Attorney General, working for his principal, Mr. Governor.
Good. Let's come to a politically related matter. The embargo that has been placed on Osun local government fund since February. I'm not looking at it from the political, I'm looking at it from the purely judicial angle. We just recently heard that the commissioner was speaking somewhere, and we got to know that the matter has been sent to the Supreme Court. Our worry from the town is that why did it have to take this long for the matter to get to the Supreme Court, considering the fact that it is more of a constitutional matter than legal?
Well, I can assure you that the mill of justice grinds slowly, but it eventually grinds surely. I believe that we will get to the shore of justice in Osun State. Reality is that I believe all lawyers know this is more of politics than law, because I read all the judgments, almost all the judgments, the judgment of the Court of Appeal, the 2 judgments of the Federal High Court, all the others, High Court, and under no circumstance should this be happening. Because as far as law is concerned, we all know what the law says. And when a court of law makes a pronouncement that has not been amended or reversed, High Court of Osun State pronounced the road is clear. Go on, conduct another election because there's no inhibition. That judgment has not been appealed. That judgment has not been set aside. That judgment was complied with. And somebody somewhere said, no. How can anybody, no matter how powerful you are, wave aside the pronouncement of a competent court of law? And even the judgment, the latest judgment of the Court of Appeal is there and it's clear on the subject matter. I want to be careful not to sound political because I'm not a politician, but the truth of the matter is, as a lawyer, as a government functionary, we know that the local government officials elected under the present administration are validly elected, and they should be running the administration of the local government. And the embargo on the finance of the local government is an injury to the state, but not to just, is it Mr. Governor that is being hurt? Mr. Governor is not a poor man, but he's almost crying because of the common man. The local government staffs who will hand their salary and take care of their family, the government at the state is funding their salary. And perhaps, I don't know, the intention of the other side of politicians may be to sabotage or to prevent them from being able to meet, I don't know. But the point is that thank God that Mr. Governor is doing everything possible to ensure those salaries are being paid. Okay, look at it. If you seize their money, their salaries are not paid, what would the children hit? How would they go to school? All this number of months, what will happen in the local communities? I think that is almost wicked. So, in my view, the law is clear. And we can't begin to talk in details because once the matter is sub judice, you can't make comment on
before
the legal issues.
Judice, somebody must have been, and you mentioned it, you didn't mention any name. Somebody says, what has allowed this, how do I call it, this abnormality to remain? What has allowed it?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, if you are an agent of a principal, if that agent takes a step that is not consistent with what is
the law,
right, what's of good conscience, what is the law, and the principal knows about it and says nothing and does nothing and even is at home with it, it is not the action of the agent, it's the action of the principal. Then they say charity begins at home. Okay, so you know that that is where they are coming from, and that defines their extent or how democratic such a principle is and such a government is. So it's my own view that if I begin to make a submission that is inconsistent with that of my principal, the Attorney General Commissioner for Justice, and I'm making that submission in my position as his officer,
you must resign.
He must, it's either leave his office or he comes out to say, no, that is not my position. Or he uses powers to reverse what I've said. But if I say something and he's smiling and he's enjoying the process of what I said, he takes responsibility. So what I'm saying is that you don't need to go too far. It is what the administration at that level wants to do. I just pray. And it's not about the government, it's about the people of the state.
You are a senior lawyer.
Yes.
While I don't want to push you into political statement, the fact is that all these things you have said, I know what you are saying about.
Okay.
But as a lawyer now, was the Minister of Justice and Attorney General, was he right from your own legal point of view? Was he right in the steps he took?
In my humble view, certainly is not. But then, there are two judgments. He looked at one and interpreted it based is with due respect to him as a most senior lawyer, highly revered, very highly revered senior advocate of Nigeria. But people say, look, there is the other judgment of the same Court of Appeal. What is your comment on it?
And after that, another judgment.
Maybe by tomorrow, he will make a comment. I'm not aware that he has given any official statement. And then people went back to court. That court says, look, on this one, this is the position. He has not come back to say anything, but the result we are seeing is continuation of that side. And you know this common sense of go to court. And when you go to court, we are still here now. People, services are not being rendered. The local government system
until you finish this matter, the system in the state
local government
cannot run. So, what is the maximum that somebody who takes a case to the Supreme Court can wait?
Well, the Supreme
constitutional issue. I'm not talking of
the Supreme Court is overwhelmed, and some of us are advocating that the Supreme Court should be unbundled and liberalized because they have too much to do, even for their age and for their number. And so, if you see the lineup of cases there, we will not be able to complain that they are too slow. But
you are holding brief for.
I'm not holding brief for, but the reality is what's on ground. So what we are saying is that, well, this is urgent. We hope they will take it on time. But then let us come back to real issue. You began by saying the law is on hearts. Yes. So it means the direction the law will face depends on who is riding it. But the truth of the matter is that we all know what is right, what is true. Do you know that if political permutation changes now, or everything about this local government problem will disappear?
Yes.
So what are we talking about?
It's a contest between politics and Judy.
It's more of a political question.
Yes.
It's more of a political question.
It is. Everybody knows about that. And I think
those who are driving it are unfair to the people of the state. I just pray that God will help our government.
That is why some of us also think that the government, through the state government, through your offices, you have also gone to the Supreme Court much earlier than now.
You know what? The Yorubas have one adage that it is how the bird flies that you throw the stone. Okay. Because there is the theory of law, there is the procedure of law, and there is the practice of law. Okay. You need to, there are procedures to everything. Okay. I'll give you an example. The other case that was thrown out, the Court of Appeal said the party that went to court in the federal court went to court before the statutory notice was given. You know the difference between notice and statutory notice? We have had it in the news from Western Sun that election will be conducted on so date. And because we know that is not right, that is illegal, we went to court. But the people who released the news now came out to say, look, the notice of that election was given on 15th of September. You went to court on 12th of September.
You didn't wait.
So your case has not crystallized. So you don't have a case because the case is not right. You know what I'm talking about?
It had not happened.
But in the meantime, the news is in the...
You jumped the gun.
You see? So you have to watch yourself. You have to monitor their procedure. That's why the government don't just... Otherwise, technicality will defeat the hands of justice. Okay. That is why it takes time to do some things.
Okay. Just before we go, in one sentence or two, is bail really, really free in Nigeria? The ordinary man, can he access bail without paying money? Is he supposed to?
By law, and in fact, bail is free. Anybody who pay money for bail is being extorted, and it's also abating crime, because corruption, bribery and corruption is a crime. The reality is that bail is free anywhere, both in the court and in the police station or at any law enforcement agent.
But the practice, you spoke about reality.
just
or
like,
let's even see the concept.
Like the reality of people stealing. Do people steal on the street? Do we have pickpockets? Do people? So extortion of money for bail is the same thing as people picking your pocket and stealing on the street. Whether you are able to catch that thief and prosecute him is another thing.
I'd like to thank you very much. You are the smart lawyer that you have always been.
Thank you very much, sir.
You have wiggled your way out of this. Yes. To the Nigerian at home, bail is conceptually free.
Yes.
But like the pickpocket can pick your pocket, like the con man can con you, there might be aspects of life that can con you when it comes to bail, offering you bail. That's the much we can afford to bring us to today. I have been talking in a very, very homely chat with the Director of Law Reform and Head of Citizen Mediation Center, Osun State Ministry of Justice, Barrister Kayode Titiloye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for finding time. That's all we have been able to bring you today. You have heard it all. The matter at the Supreme Court, the matter of bail, that is what concerns you, the common man. Think about what he has said and apply wisdom. We see you next week. I am Adeto Iseshitu Alamo. Thank you very much for your time.